And welcome back to the channel, guys. Tool reviews of tools I use. Today I'm going to take you through my Stubby wrench collection. So when I'm talking about Stubby wrenches or Stubby spanners, what I'm talking about is anything bigger than this. This is an 8-inch Bahco spanner. This is pretty much the standard that most people would carry in their toolbox. Sort of very non-specific spanner. You can just carry out a lot of tasks. With this length you can get a lot of leverage. You can fit some big fittings in there and work on a lot of tasks. Very general size tool that you'd use. So when compared to these, if I put it next to the 6-inch Bahco, you can see it really dwarfs them. So yeah, as far as stubby spanners, I wouldn't even call the 6-inch Bahco a stubby. It's still getting on a little bit, especially when you see it next to the Nerrad that I'm about to show you as well. But it's still, I would still say it's a nice small spanner, great for this kind of work, and you can't really go wrong with one of these. It's really well made, great steel, really nice tight tolerances, and you can fit a good size fitting in there. I believe it goes to about 32 millimeters. It's great for most tasks. So this one here, this is the Nerrad adjustable spanner, and as soon as I saw this in the shop, I thought, yeah, I've got to have that. Absolutely fantastic. If you see it, the biggest selling feature for me is you see it in my hand, and it just fits in with absolutely no wasted space whatsoever. Like, look at that, it's got no handles sticking out or anything like that. It really is as compact as they could have possibly made it. They do this in a 32mm and a 54mm. It's talking about what it can fit in there, and this is the 32mm model. It's absolutely fantastic, really nice and tight. Yeah, you can get that into any way you needed to get it to tighten things down. That is a fantastic tool. You'll pay a little bit extra for it though. The brand is quite a premium brand when it comes to plumbing tools, but I'd say it's worth it. Really good. This is the Amtech. I've seen it go under other names as well. This is a very cheap brand in the UK. I don't know if they sell it in the US, but it's just a very kind of budget brand. But this one particular tool of theirs is just really starting to get some credit online, and it's pushed the price up a little bit in recent years. But it's still worth every penny. This is a great little spanner. It's not the sexiest little spanner in the world, but it doesn't take up a lot of space in the hand. So there's a tiny little bit of extra sticking out there for a compact spanner, but you could also argue that gives you a little bit of extra leverage as well. So you've got also got a nice little addition that you can turn this into like a pipe wrench, so you can actually grip pipe with those teeth there. You can see it's a nice little extra. Not one that you use, but it's a good little optional extra that you've got with it. What I like is how nice and wide it goes for such a small spanner. You can take it, I think, even further than the Nerrad. If you have a look at that, yeah, it's getting on 40mm. So that's a really, you can do a lot of work with that, and that's not really pushing it. Maybe I am pushing it a tiny bit. I could take it if you see the way the spring's sitting. Yeah, I can fit quite a good fitting in that though. You get the point. But the only downside, as with a lot of adjustable spanners, once you start using them, you look how much space it takes around the bottom, and it starts to impede it a little bit. So you'll see it up against this. This is Irwin's vice grip model, and that will only just come out to there. If I compare the two, yeah, there's absolutely no comparison, is there? You've got the trade-off of really nice wide jaws that you can get and use if you had to, but you also can't open the Irwin particularly far. But yeah, the Irwin is a beautiful spanner. It's nicely finished. Handle's nice and slim. I like the simplicity of it. I don't like these grips that some tool manufacturers make, you know, where they try and make you put your hand and your fingers in a certain place, and it might not necessarily be where you want to hold it. Sometimes you want to choke your grip up on it a little bit. Sometimes you want it down there a little bit. And so I just like the simplicity of this spanner. It doesn't open up very wide, like I said, but that does make it really good for just small little compact bolts and things. This only opens up to, let's have a look. Yeah, it's about 25 millimeters. So yeah, just under an inch it looks like. It's a nice spanner though. I wouldn't let that put you off it. Let's face it, for most work you don't necessarily need it to go any more than that. This one here, this is I'm calling it a stubby wrench, but I'm only calling it a stubby wrench because when you compare just how wide it can go versus how big it is, so I'm going to compare it to my biggest wrench in my whole collection, which is a 12-inch wrench. I just don't have any use for anything bigger than a 12-inch wrench, not at the moment anyway. I like tools, so I might end up buying something bigger for something, but yeah, when you see it compared to that, absolutely no comparison in the handle size. I'd say that I can class that as a stubby. This isn't for hard work. You're not going to be putting a lot of torque down on this. You're not going to be putting a lot of pressure. It really is pretty flimsy, to be honest. It's made of some sort of weak aluminium. Feels very light in the hand. Feels very cheap. And this is the non-branded model. I've seen the branded ones going for about £20, whereas this was, I think this set me back just over a fiver. Just over £5 for this. But for what it does, it's being able to tighten up sanitary fittings, getting behind sinks, and tighten those up where there's virtually no space. There's certainly no space to fit a set of channel locks. This has been absolutely great, just to put a little nip on it, just enough to tighten it and get that good seal. It's a great tool. If you're not doing anything like that, I wouldn't buy this as any kind of primary spanner. This will be pretty rubbish for that, but for its intended purpose, if you know what you're doing with it, this is a great tool. So yeah, if you've got any questions or anything, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to discuss any of these things with you. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.